in the letters, it says that we wanted the responses by April 30th, and we were gonna notice for a hearing in May. But we met as a staff today, and that people are still really communicating with us on this, and we don't want people to feel rushed. So we're gonna extend that out and have the hearing with planning and zoning in June.
So in theory, could we have 1,800 property owners at a P&Z meeting when this thing gets approved?
They wouldn't need to attend if they see the map and they're like, oh, yep, that's what I asked for, I'm good, then.
What are you hearing?
Yeah.
What are you hearing from folks? What's
Well, I mean, they're really good conversations. A lot of people just want to stay, you know what they are, but a lot of them are, oh, are those my options? Okay, well, that's great. Let me think about it. And then they call back or they email and say, I decided I want to do this, or I decided I want to do that.
I mean, it's not forced. People, multifamily is
We
hard
have to figure something out,
we
yeah.
can figure that zone out, but the rest of them, if you want to stay, you can stay.
Yeah.
And you know, they have the option at a later date to pursue their own zone map amendment, should they want to change zones.
How many people are roughly requesting to stay in the current zoning?
I don't have any of that information right now. I can
Any
definitely
idea?
get it.
Small amount?
My staff handles so much of it. There's a massive spreadsheet that's
Yeah,
tracking it
Donna and
all,
Shannon
but
have
I haven't looked at the spreadsheet in a while. I bet it's half that are just choosing to stay. I've had a few calls today, and one was commercial or mixed use, and I explained the differences, and they're like, are you gonna be mad at me if I just say I wanna stay commercial? I'm like, absolutely not. That's why we are reaching out. And they're like, okay, well, we just wanna stay commercial. I'm like, okay, perfect, I'll put you down. So, I mean, it's really like a reach out before we notice the map, you know, a reach out. What do you want to do?
And see, where I feel kinda blindsided is people were calling me and I said, I don't know enough about the process. Cause they were asking me, and I know I could say, well, call the city, but they trusted me to either dig into it or no. And that's why I called Brett, and we talked about this, and you know, that's what's happening right now, is I'm getting people inquiring, well, what's going on? And
Well, there you gotta go back to all the hearings and all the meetings they've had for the last 3 years on all this stuff. Where were those people asking
no, we're talking about
questions
the
then?
process, what's going on
That is
right
the
now.
process.
Well,
No,
so
not
we've
the
got,
process of
yeah,
what we got to
we've
hear.
got kind of we're talking about two different
Yeah,
things,
we are.
really, but the thing Matt's talking about, the process of the people that received the letters, I think their intent was to put that process in the letter, and there's probably more. I think we could have communicated, you know, better with you as far as the process. I think, you know, as we've gone through, you know, Melissa and the team, as we've gone through the comprehensive plan and then updating the code sections, you know, and part of, I think the number one thing in the new comprehensive plan, one of the new action items was to fix the zoning map. And so for us, we're looking at that, that's the logical next progression that we've talked about through the whole process. And so that, you know, you hadn't gotten that, so I think that's why we want to step back, make sure everybody understands this is what the process is, get the public input, and I think we're open to areas, you know, where people are concerned they're in maybe the ones you mentioned, they're in a multifamily area. Let's talk about that, and they've, you know, said, maybe we look at the mixed
totally
residential,
open to
or we look
talking about it.
at R1, so I think people need to know we're open to, you know, talking and working through this with everybody, but,
and I mentioned this at P&Z last night, you know, the city did an effort for reaching out because those future land use map zones, you'll notice they aren't on a property line, right? They're just block coloring, it's a highlight, right? It's an area that we want to be that, so it doesn't match the parcel line, so we wanted to reach out to folks and say, you know,
you're kind of right on the border,
you're
what do you
cut off,
think?
or you're half, some people are dead, they look on the map half. And then, you know, other folks have called in and had really good comments, and we've talked about a variety of different issues that we wouldn't have, you know, that's how we know that for going out and getting feedback.
I think some people just simply don't understand what the different zonings are, because I had one lady, matter of fact, she was over at my house today, that she's in this area that got a letter. And she was all for getting it rezoned because in her mind, multi-house,
Oh, mixed use?
no, not mixed use,
Multifamily.
multi-family, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
meant, well, they can come in here and tear down my house and build
We-
apartments.
we do
Well,
explain
because-
that you still control your property,
Well,
you know,
do,
like.
but when you think multi,
This is
people
a,
automatically go to apartment
Yeah.
complexes and stuff, so.
right.
We had a great conversation and, you know, I don't think she still understands all of it, but she understands we're not tearing your house down, no.
It's been great to
30
educate
apartments.
because a lot of people don't have any idea what zone they're in right now, you know, or what that means or what they can do. And Shannon and Donna, the time they spend with each person and explain the different options, I mean, we've
And-
gotten a lot of good feedback.
And you know, we always have, and that's under state law too, we'll have we have an entire code on non-conforming uses. You know, we have those all over the city today, homes and commercial, that existed 50 years.
Mhm.
Right, well, now it's commercial. At some point, that was residential, and the city went through a process and rezoned
Rezoned
it to commercial. Well, they're allowed to live in that house. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not taking it from them.
Right.
I mean, you know, they can sell
Yeah,
that
for
house
sure.
and somebody else can move into it. The non-conforming uses are allowed to be maintained and replaced. So that exists.
You know, to me, it's, with a lot of the folks that I've talked to, gotten emails and stuff, it's an educational process because they don't understand it. And that's why I tell every one of them, come to any meetings that deal with zoning or any of that, come to the meetings and get educated. But, you know, it is, I mean, I spent 3 years on P&Z and I've been a council member for a while. I still don't get it 100%.
Right.
I get it more than most people, but that's because they've been around it. But it is a very complex, confusing thing to the average Joe or
Mhm.
Jill on the street that, you know, so education's the only way we're gonna overcome it, but they have to engage us, or we have to engage them. It's a two-way street
Right.
to get them to understand it. And I think if we can ever reach that, we're all gonna be, us sitting here as a council and the citizens, we're all gonna be a lot happier. Because we're gonna understand what we're discussing. We're not just going to point fingers and say, well, you're trying to do this and you're trying to do that, when they really don't know.
We're all on the same page about what's going on here,
Yeah.
like Matt says. We're all concerned about the traffic and all the stuff that goes on and the costs and the sewers and all the stuff that's involved with this. You know, I mean, like years ago when I was the mayor here, we had a deal like this and the guy said, well, you're the mayor, why don't you do something about it? That's exactly why I don't. I'm simply the mayor. If I was the king, things would be a hell of a lot different, you know? But you know, you've got rules you have to go by and things like that.
As far, just quickly, because I know Brett wants to get to the budget,
Yeah,
but just to
I know.
answer, Matt, hopefully this, just to help, so we're still getting comments in and want to continue to receive those, because the discussion's been really positive from members of the community.
And to slow down and make sure everybody gets.
And
Yeah, I don't want people to be like, oh my gosh, I had to have it in by Friday.
So-
No, I think we'll reach out on Facebook and
You
say,
know, like we said, we've got to
It's
figure
okay.
out multifamily, and so we'll do that. We'll have a hearing that'll be noticed in conformance with the Local Land Use Planning Act today. That's looking like in the paper plus mailing to all the folks for the
Yep.
public hearing, the
Yep.
people impacted. And it will also go on the website, we'll put it out on social media, so we will go above and beyond, you know, so people can get notice of that.
right,
Today, the thought is just trying to shoot for June, just so we can continue to get comments, because we're still receiving them, it's been
Mhm.
very positive. And then planning and
there's still
zoning,
people that are weighing their options too.
yeah, and planning and zoning will have that hearing, and then, you know, a written decision on that, and then that will come up before you.
So the selection on the slip at the bottom, does that become binding for their selection? Or can they call you and change it?
Yeah, they can, oh, totally.
Yeah.
But people have people have turned it in and then said, you know what,
Yeah.
I thought about it
So-
more, you explained it so well, I think I really wanna do this.
So that's
And
the
we just
kind
go
of
in the-
stuff I wanted to hear.
we just go in the
so
spreadsheet
when I
and-
read people, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I should
people
show
don't
you
like
the
change, and all of a
spreadsheet.
sudden,
The spreadsheet has, like, I talked to this person with the initials, this is
Yeah.
what they wanted to do. Okay, well then I talked to this person and this is what they wanted to do, and then it's like, okay, they settled on this, and then we put a check mark in
Yeah,
it.
and so,
So,
and there's no, like I said, unless, you know, like I said, this multifamily,
Right, we have to figure out what to do.
one real, you know, issue, but just cause it doesn't exist anymore. And nobody built multifamily in the multifamily.
our
it
one
wasn't in
doesn't
effective
exist.
zone.
Multifamily
Oh,
doesn't.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
residential
it wasn't in
multifamily
effective
doesn't.
zone.
Nobody, and we got rid of it because nobody constructed multifamily in the multifamily zone. All the multifamily is by special use permit in commercial.
Which we've taken that out.
So that,
We
you
can't
know,
do
that
that
was,
anymore either.
that was just our
So,
reasoning, it just wasn't
yeah,
helping
so our
the city.
commercial areas are commercial now.
So-
Okay, I know, so I think that's it, so we did that, then we had tons of workshops with you in planning and zoning, and then we've initiated this thing. So, I just point out right here, this is not intended to achieve the future land use map overnight. That was not the intent, it was to reach out, you know, find people that really did wanna change to one of these zones and then zone them that way. But not say you have to do anything, that was never the intent. And it's not, I mean, it says right on there that you can just stay, unless you're multifamily.
Got it.
So
Okay.
lots and lots of good conversation. Yeah, we're thinking about June.
Melissa?
Okay.
Yeah,
I think it's good that you changed the, public hearing process for planning and zoning to June, but I'm wondering if we should go one step farther and, maybe extend it to July, just to make sure that, you know, like, we have everybody covered and they don't feel rushed.
no, I mean, we can talk about it. I think people are, you know,
And people could always break from that and do their own zone change initiation.
they totally
We had
can,
a
they
gentleman
can
do that
totally
at
do their
Planning
own
and
thing
Zoning.
later. They can choose to just do nothing now, like, I don't know what I wanna do, I'm just gonna stay, okay. They can still, even after we notice the hearing, we're not gonna tell them no if they come in the next day and, you know, even if it's between planning and zoning and council, we just have to know, you know, point it out as a change that's happened since. So, that's what's good with city initiated processes, is there's no applicant to be fair to. So so they'll have plenty of time, and I really don't think there'll be too many stragglers. People are,
Would you be okay, Jerry, if before they notice a public hearing in May, maybe talk to Melissa and staff again and see if everybody's comfortable and then make a decision?
I would-
okay,
Maybe we come back to, a May
Thanks,
meeting and,
Roger.
ask the council and say, are you still getting concerns and comments? And we kind of just coordinate a little bit and say, are we ready to move forward?
well, that's all I had, that's what
Well, thank you,
I
Melissa.
put together, and I'm sorry it took longer.
Did you